Hello! Crocheters, both men and women, welcome once again to your channel, Mary Tajitos. In today's class, we are going to be making this beautiful piece, 100% handmade, made with several small squares. We're going to make these with fancy stitch and slip stitch. It's a beautiful bag, very handmade and quite affordable. In the whole process, I used up 400 grams of t-shirt yarn. Look how affordable and lightweight it is. It's also very spacious. Look at the size inside. If you want to learn how to make it step by step, I invite you to stay with me until the end of the class. I hope you enjoy the process and put it into practice. If so, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment as a sign of appreciation. Now, let's go to the list of materials and then to the step-by-step instructions. These are the materials we are going to work with in today's class. 2 wooden handles. This one is 20 centimeters long by 13 centimeters high. You can use whichever one you have available. Nylon and a needle for sewing the clasp. This is gauge 30. 3mm knitting needle. This one will be used to hide threads. 5mm knitting needle. This will be our main needle. Yarn needle. Scissors. Measuring tape. Custom plate with the channel name. This one is optional. A magnetic clasp with spaces for sewing. A 2cm diameter lobster clasp ring. A bell for the tassel. I'm going to be working with Trapilo Ovilo. Here I have it, 750 grams. In the video description, I'll leave the exact amount that I'm going to be using for this project. This one has a strand that's 3 centimeters wide. And look, it stretches quite a lot. It's very light and soft when you knit with it. We start by making a slip knot. We hold the needle with the tip facing down. We wrap it around the yarn. We have a loop on the hook. We yarn over and pull through. We tighten it, and here we have our starting knot. Here we start working. 8 chains. We have a little loop on the hook. We yarn over and pass through this. And here we have our first chain. Little loop on the hook. We yarn over and slip. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are going to make an extra chain. And this will be our turning chain for a total of 9 chains. Now we're going to work the first row. And here we're going to start with the stitch pattern. And this is going to be a fantasy stitch. We turn. And we start here at the back, where the little bumps are, passing the needle through the second bump. Here. Because the first one is the turning chain. So we're going to make a stitch under each little bump until we reach the last one. To start the stitch, we're going to place the yarn over the needle, making sure the yarn is well organized. And with the opening facing inward, we place it. And we pass it under the second little bump. We take the yarn again, and here we add height. We have 3 little loops on the hook. We're not going to yarn over, but instead we're going to pass the first little loop inside these 2. Like this, just like that. We place the yarn again. And we pass under the next little ridge. We take the yarn, lift it up. Here we have 3 left. We're going to slip the first one into these last 2. This way, look how I support myself with this finger. I adjust here and pass. The third one, inside the first 2, like this. We make the next stitch, we place the yarn again, and we go under the next little ridge. We lift up and do the same process. We place it again. We pass it underneath. We arrange the strand. And here we close the stitch. We make the last one here. Look where you can see the little bump. We place the yarn over the hook, and we go underneath. Here we close the stitch, and we make a turning chain. We finish the first round with a total of 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at how the stitches look. And this is how it looks on the back. Look at how neat these threads look. It's very important that when making this type of stitch, the thread is positioned very well on the hook, so it doesn't get tangled, and the stitch can look this pretty. Now, we're going to work on row number 2, and we're going to do this one with slip stitches. We insert the hook under the second chain. Look, the first one is the turning chain. We go through the center, taking only the top loop. We pass the needle through the center of the second. We yarn over. We have 2 loops on the hook. We're going to slip the first one into the one we already had. We go through the center again, yarn over, and slip it into this one. Like this. We pass the next through the center. We yarn over and slip the next one. And we are going to continue until we reach the last stitch. We complete the second round, making a total also of 8 stitches from now on. We will only work 8 stitches. Here we do! Chain stitch in the air and turn the piece. In this third round, we're going to repeat the pattern from the first one, which is fantasy stitch. We place the yarn neatly over the needle, and here we're going to go under the entire chain. Here, taking the entire chain, like this. We arrange the strand. We pass it under the second one. We take the strand. We lift it up. Look, here we have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to slip this one inside these 2. We pass it through, under the next one. And here we close it. We arrange the strand, and we pass under the next chain. We make a fantasy stitch here. Let's make the last stitch. Pay close attention here, because this stitch always tends to hide. We turn here a little bit. We adjust the yarn. And we pass under that chain. We yarn over. And here we slip. We make a turning chain, and we turn the work. We finish the third round. Look at how the stitches look. We are going to work the fourth round with slip stitch. We insert the needle in the center of the second chain, picking up the top loop, and we make slip stitches. Under here, the last one, we roll the strand a little bit and look here where you can see the last chain. We pass it through the center. And we make the last slip stitch. We make a chain stitch in the air. And this is how we finish round number 4. Now we're going to turn the piece. And we'll start working on round number 5, which will be a fantasy stitch. We're going to alternate these 2 stitches. 1 fantasy stitch, 1 slip stitch, 1 fantasy stitch, 1 slip stitch, until we reach round number 9, which we should finish with a fantasy stitch. I finished the 9 rounds. This is how the knitting looks. How are you going to identify them? Here, where you see the strand on the side, fantasy stitch. Where the strand is straight, slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 turns. Let's leave the piece this size. Look at its square shape. Now what we're going to do is work one last round around with single crochet to give it a better finish. So here we position ourselves in the last stitch. We already have the turning chain. And we're going to pass the hook under the entire chain. We're going to work 1 stitch under each chain until we get here to the second to last one. Because in this last one, we're going to work increases. We pass the needle under the second chain. We yarn over and lift up. We have 2 loops on the hook. We yarn over and pull through both. We go under the next one. Of the next one, and here, in this last one, we will make the increase. It's going to be a triple increase. We make the first stitch here, and the second stitch will be a chain in the air. We pass the needle through that space again. And here we complete the 3 stitches. Look, 1, chain stitch in the air. And the second one, that would be 3 stitches. We'll now work this side using single crochet. Since here, we're working on a square with 4 equal parts, we need to know how many stitches we start with on this side, without counting the increase stitches. So look here, this first stitch is part of the increase. We're not going to count this one. We count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 stitches, not counting the increases. From the corners, what does that mean? That here, I also have to make 6 stitches here, not counting the last one, which will be here on this side, where we will do the augmentation. So here we're going to work on one spot. Look, there's a little bump here, and we'll do 1. Under this little bump, 2. Here in the middle, we're going to work on the third one. Again, we go here to the little bump. 4th. Here on the little bump, the 5th point. And here in this one, last chain. On this side, we will work stitch number 6. So that we have on each side the 6 stitches, not counting the increases, so that the square comes out perfect. We pass the needle. Here on this ridge, look, right here where you can see, we take the thread. We pull it out and give it height. Look here where you can see the next one. There's a thread right next to it. There's a space here. There. We make the second point there. we're going to make the third point here in this space. Look here. Not up here, because it would be too far out, so we need to go lower, down here. There are 2 strands down here. The next one, look, here is the little bump, and on this side is the little bump. We do it there. Here is the next one. And here we will do point number 6. Look, here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to work on this side, and here in this first chain, look, you can see it completely. Here we will make the increase on this side. And here in the last one, where the slip stitch is, we will work the last increase. We pass the hook under the chain, and we make the first stitch. Since it's a 3-stitch increase, we make a chain stitch in the air. We go through that stitch again, and we complete the increase. Look at how the 3 chains look. And it's already giving the corner an oval shape. Look at how it's already curving. Under these chains, we will make a stitch. Look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look, this is number 6. In this last one, where the slip stitch is, look here where you can see the chain. We will make the increase just like we did on this side. So what do? I loosen the slip knot. So that increase doesn't end up bigger. We loosen the little knot. We adjust it, and there we only have the chain left. So here we only have the chain left. Look at it, here it is. We pass the needle underneath. And we make the increase here. 1, chain stitch in the air. We go again. And we make the second stitch here. We have completed the 3 chains or the 3 stitches in the same stitch. We tighten here, and you can hide this strand under the stitches on this side. So look here. See how the single crochets are going. We're going to complete the 6 stitches on this side and finish the increase. We'll make the first stitch here by positioning ourselves at the bottom. Look, here. We go up, and here we make the stitch. To make the next one, we do the same process. Look here, but I go through not here. If not, under this strand, I pass the leaf needle through the strand and enter the space. Like this. Look, so the stitch doesn't get deformed. So here, the next one ends up in the center. The next one, look at it here where it is. We go under this little hill. Of this strand, we pass through the center. We go underneath. And here, We yarn over and lift up. We press the next one just below here. And stitch number 6 goes under this little bump. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here we're going to do the closing. To do the closing, first we need to complete the second point, because look, here we only have one, and we're going to do that one here, in this same space. Here. We pass the needle. We take the yarn and lift it up. We have 2 stitches here. And remember that we are working 2 single crochets and a chain stitch. So to complete the chain stitch, which is the 3rd stitch, we need to cut the yarn and finish off. We cut the yarn, we pull it out, we pass the needle under the first complete chain from back to front. We place the reserved strand, and we take it to the back. Look, here the first part of the chain stitch is starting to form. We pass the needle under the last chain stitch, right here in the center, also passing through the little ridge that's on the back, right here. We place the yarn, and we take it to the back. Here we have completed the increase. Look where the first stitch is. The center stitch, which is the chain, and here is the 3rd stitch of this increase. Look, this is how our square turned out, with all the sides even. So here, we're going to hide the threads, and this is how you're going to do it, on all the pieces. You pass it underneath, under the stitches. Here we cut the yarn, and when we finish, you can add a drop of silicone or make a simple stitch. To prevent the yarn from coming out, arrange it nicely and cut off the excess. On this side, I already hid the yarn, and this is how your square should look. Look how beautiful it is. We finish our square piece with a total of 36 stitches. We work a triple increase in each corner. And here, after the increases, on each side we have 6 stitches. Look, here is 1, 2, 3, the increase. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single stitches. 6 on this side, 6 on this side, and 6 on this side. This is how all the pieces should look, so that when we put them all together, they match up at one point. I'm going to give you the measurements. Of width, 9.5 centimeters, and in height, 9.5 centimeters. Now that we have this piece ready, we're going to work on 16 more pieces. For a total of 17, we're going to work on all of them using the same process and the same number of stitches that I just explained to you. I finished the pieces. I'll show you how they turned out. They're all the same size and have the same number of stitches. When you're working on them, I recommend applying the same tension to each one so that they all turn out even. Also, try to always keep the strand organized. When making this fantasy stitch so that your piece turns out like this, nice and even, pretty and well organized. This is how it looks from the back. And remember that we finished with 36 stitches around the piece. If you want to work this piece with another material like cord, you can do that too. And if you want to make it a little bigger, you can add more chains at the beginning, keeping in mind that each side should be the same. Let's start joining the pieces. I'm going to show you how you should place them to start sewing. You should always keep in mind the position of the fabric. We're going to arrange some pieces horizontally and others vertically. We start with the first row, and here you're going to place 2 blocks. The first row has 2 pieces, one horizontal and the other vertical. For the second row, we're going to arrange 4 pieces. Here we start with horizontal. We place the first one here vertically, always. Go! Combining the position of the dot. Second row, 4 pieces. Third row, 5 pieces. Here we place the first one on top of this one. Look, it should be like this on this side. For the fourth row, we're going to place the block now. On the left side, see how it already has company on this side. We place 4, keeping in mind the position of the dots. This is like loving a puzzle. It's not complicated at all. And down here, look, there are all 4. It starts at the top and at the bottom. It ends without a block. So now we have 2 blocks left, and this would be the 5th row. We're going to place them here in the center. On this side, on the screen, I'm going to show you an image that will serve as a guide. In the process, I'm explaining to you. Let's start sewing. We'll do this with a slip stitch, and we'll work vertically. That means, like this. First, we're going to join the pieces. Like this. Row by row, and then we'll join them horizontally. So let's start with the bottom 2. Look, they're right side up here. Let's join them front to front and start sewing at the bottom. We can't start sewing here at the top because remember that they should already open like this. So we're going to sew it at the first stitch of the increase, here and on this side at the first one. Taking only the strand that's on the top, we locate the first stitch of the increase. It's this one, and we're going to take this strand. This one? No, we take the one on top. We locate the stitch of the increase on this side, which is this one, and we take the top strand. Here. And here, the one in front, we start the stitching. We work a slip stitch in each stitch until we get here to the first one. From the increase to the first one of the increase, you should keep that in mind. Remember that the stitches on each side are the same, and each stitch should match the stitch in front. We shouldn't have any extra here, nor should we miss any stitches. So we're going to take the first stitch of the increase. We start sewing and finish at the first stitch of the increase on this side. We pass the needle through the top loop, making sure it's the first of the 3. 1, 2, and 3, here. Taking the first loop, we check on top 1, 2, 3, taking the top loop. We pass in the chain next to it, taking the top strand. And the top strand that's in front. We yarn over, go through both. And here we have 2 left. We slip the first one into the one we already had, leaving a little piece of yarn to hide very well under the stitches later. We go through the front chain, and here we slip. We confirm it's the first of the 3, and see it's already the first of the increase. And the first of the increase here. And here, we cut the yarn. We pull it out. This is how the seam turned out. Now we're going to hide these leftover yarn ends under the stitches. I've already hidden the yarn ends well. You will repeat this process on each of the pieces. And look at how it turns out when you open it. We already have the first joint ready. Let's keep going. With this side. This one and this one. So we start with these two. We do the same process. We place one on top of the other. And we join them on this side. We locate the first increase point. This one. And here on this side, this one. We pass under the strand here. And the one that's in front. We take the strand, always leaving a little piece to hide it later. We go under the chain in front. And we make a slip stitch here. When making these stitches, try not to tighten too much. So it doesn't end up too tight, make the stitches just normal. So here we've already done the last one. We cut. We already have this side ready. We'll hide the threads later. Now let's join the next piece. It comes like this. Look, we join front to front. And we take this side. Here we place the first point of the increase. And the first point on this side would be this one. We take the top strand here, and the top one from the third stitch. We yarn over, and we start the slip stitches. We make the last stitch here. And in total, you are going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slip stitches. Starting from the first stitch of the increase to the last stitch of the increase, you should work 7 stitches. We cut. We take it out, and now we have this piece ready. We join the next one. We've already completed the second row. Look how it looks. We're going to join the rest, following the same process. We already have the vertical joining of all the pieces. Look how it's turning out. Again, when we finish, put it in its place so you know how the process will continue. Now we're going to work horizontally, joining each one of them. We're going to start from the bottom. Look, here we have 2 pieces. We're going to join them on top of these 2, placing them like this, We take the piece, and we're going to start sewing, always placing the center point here on this side of the increase. We'll pass the needle through the center of the increase, placing it, look, here we have the first one. The second and the third, we pass it here through this strand. And here on the piece on this side, we already have the first stitch of the increase. We are going to have it attached to this piece. That means that here I already have the center stitch left. I take this strand and I'm going to attach it here with the stitch that's in front. Here I'll make a slip stitch. And I'll work a slip stitch here in each chain. I insert the hook under the strand and the one in front. Here, I leave a space to save under the stitches. I yarn over. Look, here the first stitch will be left empty. That's normal, because with this stitch, we're going to make the join in the next step. So here I have a little ear on the hook. I pass the needle under the next strand, and the one that's in front. I yarn over again, and I make a slip stitch. I go underneath, and the one that's in front, and I make a slip stitch. We're going to follow this process until we reach the corner. We're going to make the last stitch of this piece and place ourselves here at the center stitch of the increase. Look at it from this side, and here where you can see it. Don't get confused with the next chain, because this was the one that we made when joining it with the front piece. So you should always keep in mind that we're joining here. The chains that are in the center of the increase, see how it ends here and on this side as well. So we go underneath, and we make a slip stitch. Now let's move on to the next piece. Here we'll work continuously, which means we'll also insert the needle in the center of the chain from the increase. Look at it here where it is. And we also locate the one on this side. Look here. We go to the front, adjust a little, and here we slide. We keep working with slip stitch until we get here, to the chain in the center of the increase. Look here, this is the last one. And we find the last one that's in front. We slide it. That's how the seam turned out here. Let's check. Look how it looks and see how the seam comes together here in the center. Notice that there isn't any gap. We're going to cut the yarn, leaving about 60 centimeters. We pull it out and set it aside. We already have this piece ready. We're going to hide these little ends underneath. We place the piece, and we continue with the next join. Here, we're going to sew these 4 together, with the 4 that are on top. Look, you should always place them this way. And here, you place the center of the increase. Insert the needle through the center of the increase. Look, here, taking the first strand, we locate the center stitch. And here, we're also going to leave a strand of about 60 centimeters. We do it here, a chain stitch. We go from this side to the next and continue working slip stitches. It's the same process we did before. Here, we're already reaching the joining of the 2. We go under the last stitch here, and the one that's in front. We move on to the next one, placing the center point here, and the one that's in front. We adjust the yarn a little and make a slip stitch here. We keep working. Here, we're going to make the last stitch. And we continue with the one in front. We locate the center stitch and the one in front. We slip and we keep working. Here, we finish on this side. We continue on this side. We locate the point and the one that's in front. We adjust a little and perform the sliding. Now we'll make the final stitch. Look, it's the stitch in the center. We cut the yarn, leaving about 60 centimeters, and we pull it out. Here's how the seam on the third piece turned out. We place, and we're going to work on the fourth and fifth. We place it like this. We leave 60 centimeters of thread at the beginning and 60 centimeters at the end. For the last one, we place it. We leave 60 centimeters at the beginning, and at the end, we don't leave any thread. We sew. I've already finished joining all the pieces. On this side, we leave 3 threads of 60 centimeters. And on this side, we also have the 3 threads. I'll show you the stitching. Look how they look. The back part. Look, they turned out really pretty. I'll give you the measurements now. For the length, 49 centimeters. In width, 36 centimeters. Now the next step is to assemble the structure of our bag. Look, we already have the base ready. We're going to take all 3 from the center as the base. And these 2 that are left here on the ends will be the opening of our bag. So let's assemble the sides by joining these 2 pieces. Notice that the right side faces inward, and we will be sewing here on the outside. Let's take the reserved strand. Notice that it's on this side. We need to bring it up here to start sewing on this side. Here we have the joining of the 3 stitches, of the 3 corners. So we're going to do this step. We take the yarn, we pass it under this stitch right here. And we bring it to the stitch in front. See how this way we manage to bring up the yarn? And here we close the corner. Now, with the yarn on top, we're going to line up 1 stitch in front of the other. Look, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We pass the needle under this strand and under the chain stitch in front. We yarn over and bring it forward. We pass the hook under the next one. And we make a slip stitch under the next one. This way until you complete all 9 stitches. Here we make the last one. We pull it out, and we check the seam from the inside. Look how it turned out, and here at the junction of the 3 corners, see that there isn't any gap. We already have this part. Now we're going to join this side with this one. Here. On this side, we do the same process. Look, we have the strand here. We pass underneath of the stitch that's right at the corner, here. And we also go through the stitch that's right in front here. Now we're going to sew. We pass the needle through the next chain and the one that's in front. And we start here with a slip stitch. Let's make the last 2 stitches. Look, which are these? Here, this is the center of the increase. And here in front, we already have the center of the increase on this side. We do a slide. And here, slide. Look, here we pull out the strand. Here, if you want. You can do it here. A little knot. And we hide. One strand on this side and the other on this side. Let's turn the piece over so you can see how the bag is coming along. Here we arrange it very well. And this is how it should look. Look how beautiful it is. We are going to sew on this side. We're not going to work here because this will be the opening of the bag. Here we will place the handle, and on this side we will do the same process. Look, there are 3. Sides, we join them. Like this. And like this. All the stitching goes with the piece inside out. And here, then we go up. But look, it's a very beautiful process. Honestly, it has several steps, but the finish, I love it. It's a gorgeous piece. Look. We turn it over again and continue the process. Look at the strand we've set aside for sewing. On this side, we turn the piece over. And here, look, we already have the piece on the top. Let's take the stitch. Look, this stitch is already taken. We take the next one here in the center, taking the top strand. And we're going to take the one that's right here in front, this one. We've been here, and we come over here, in the next one, and in the one that's right in front. We yarn over, and we make a slip stitch. This is how we are going to join one chain to the other. See how the stitches fit perfectly, one in front of the other? We're not missing or adding any stitches. Here, we can see the last 3. This last one will always meet with the previous one, because remember, these are the corners. So here it is. Look, here. We go under the last one, and we make a stitch, slip stitch. Now, you're going to hide this leftover yarn under the stitches. Don't forget to add a little dot of silicone or make a simple stitch when you finish, with a needle and thread to prevent it from coming undone later. I'll show you how this side looks finished. Look, this is how it looks. Now, we're going to do this side, and we'll follow the same process here. We're going to join them. Look, here are these two sides. We join this piece with this one, and this one with this one. We turn it over. Like this, our bag is almost finished. Look how beautiful it looks. Now, we'll turn the piece inside out. We arrange it very well. We've already arranged the bag very well. Look how it's turning out. Look, this is the base. Look how pretty it is. Inside, it turned out quite spacious. Now we're going to work a round of slip stitches to give it a better finish. You can start the slip stitches anywhere. I'm going to start here. We pass the hook through the center of the chain. We leave a little piece of yarn to hide it later. We yarn over. We have a loop on the hook. We go through the center of the next chain, taking the strand that's behind. And here we make a slip stitch. We go through the center of the next one. And we slip. Here on this side. Here, we're about to reach this point. Look, here's the junction. What are we going to do here? We're going to make slip stitches in this one, and look, here's the last one. Here, we're going to take this strand. And the one in front, this one, we make a single slip stitch here, joining these two. And here we continue with slip stitches upwards. We pass the needle through, into the next chain, and into the next one. And here in the last one, we go through the center, and we also take the one that's in front. We take the yarn, go through those two, and here we slip. We go through the next one. And here we start picking up the stitches. When we reach this side, we'll repeat the process. Here, this is the last one. Look down here. There's the second to last one. With the one that covers, we make a slip stitch. And we go up. We will always join the two from below. Here, when we get to this point, we do the same thing. We join this one, which is the last one, with this one here. And we go up with a slip stitch. We work this whole section. We do the same process on this side, and I'll see you here at this chain to finish. Let's make the last stitch. We cut the yarn. We pull it out, and we're going to pass the needle under the first chain. From the side, look, like this. We take the yarn, and we go backwards. And we pass the needle again through the center of the last stitch. Here, we place the thread, and we take it back. This is how we close this round of slip stitches. And look, here we have the 2 strands. We're going to hide them under the stitches. I finished hiding all the strands. I also hid the inner ones. And look how it's starting to look. That's how the slip stitches turned out too. Look how pretty they are. When you make them, try not to tighten the stitch too much, so they don't end up too tight. Look how it's turning out. Now we're going to put on the sleeves. You can use these or whichever ones you have available. We place them here at the ends. Okay, and we're going to join them with a yarn needle and t-shirt yarn. Here the sewing is very simple. It's going to be wrapping. We start here at the bottom. But make sure to arrange the strand very well so it looks neat, like here. We go right underneath here. And we go back again. This is how our stitching is turning out. Look, it's a very simple stitch, and the number of turns will depend on the width of the handle. Well, I'll leave this one as is. Here I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns. Look how the yarn is nicely arranged. Here on the back, I already cut the yarn. I'm going to make a little knot. I'll take the 2 small strands together. And it's on this side. Look, here they are already together. Let's make 2 or 3 little knots, so they stay nice and tight. So the handle stays nice and secure. We do. Another. And we hide the strands under the stitches, as I explained to you before. This is how it's turning out. We do this process on this side, and we also place these. I finished the handles. Look how they turned out. On this side, here I did 5 rounds, and the amount will depend on the size. So here on the inside, I also took the opportunity to hide all the threads. Look how beautiful! I love it because the bag turned out big, and the handle gives it a spectacular touch. Look how beautiful it is. We're going to be putting on a magnetic clasp. We're going to place this one here, in this space. And the other part over here on this side. Here. You are going to do the stitching with the needle and nylon. It's a very simple stitch. Back and forth. The important thing is that the stitching doesn't show on the front of the bag. I finished attaching the clasp. Look how well it fits. Now we're going to make the tassel. For this, we're going to cut 6 strands about 40 centimeters long. And we're going to take one that's a bit shorter. And we're going to pass it through the center. Here, we're going to make a little knot so that it's nice and tight. It should look like this. We're going to cut this little knot. We're going to take our bell. Look, the screws are already loosened. And here, before placing the tassel, you're going to put some silicone or fabric glue so the tassel doesn't come off. Since I'm going to keep using the bells on another occasion, I'm not going to glue the tassel, so here. We insert the tassel, and we help ourselves here. And we're going to tighten the screws with a small screwdriver. What we're going to do now is match up the ends. You can adjust it to your desired length. Now we have the tassel ready. We're going to attach the ring. And we're going to place it here on the side of our bag. We finished the whole process. This would be the final result. Look how beautiful it is. I really like the detail of the handle. It goes really well with the shape of the bag. Honestly, it's a really cool process. I enjoyed it so much. The way of putting each piece together, of organizing it, of making it look really beautiful. I hope you all enjoy every step too, because the result is amazing. Look, a very beautiful bag. Very handcrafted, very well made. Look how beautiful it is. I'm going to give you the final measurements now. Of height. It ended up being 21 centimeters. In the center, 18 centimeters long at the base. It ended up being 34 centimeters. I hope you really enjoyed the process and that you put it into practice. If so, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment as a sign of appreciation. See you in the next tutorial. God bless you. Bye!